Welcome back to the channel, Cowboys Nation. We've got a massive update that has not only sent shockwaves through Dallas but has completely flipped the NFL world on its head. This is not just another offseason move. This is the kind of headline that grabs your attention and refuses to let go. Buckle up, because what we're about to dive into involves blockbuster trades, locker room meltdowns, and a franchise suddenly sitting at a crossroads. The Dallas Cowboys have pulled off a stunning trade, acquiring electrifying wide receiver George Pickens in a deal that nobody saw coming, but that's only half the story. In the aftermath of that headline-grabbing move, an even more dramatic twist unfolded, as defensive superstar Micah Parsons reportedly erupted in the locker room, demanding a trade of his own. That's right, your ears did not deceive you. One of the faces of the Cowboys franchise may now be on his way out, and it's all connected to a trade that fans are both praising and questioning at the same time. It all started late last night when news broke that the Cowboys had completed a deal for George Pickens, the young, talented wide receiver out of Pittsburgh who has built a reputation for being one of the most physical, explosive pass catchers in the league. The trade package, according to insiders, involved a first-round pick, a conditional mid-rounder, and a young defensive back whose name has yet to be officially released but is believed to be someone the front office had previously considered a developmental asset. On paper, the deal makes sense for a Cowboys team looking to load up on offense and keep pace with high-octane NFC rivals like the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Pickens brings a different kind of energy to the field. He's a highlight waiting to happen. Whether he's making a contested grab down the sideline, fighting through contact, or stretching the defense with his vertical ability, Pickens has quickly become a fan favorite for anyone who appreciates aggressive, confident wide receiver play. And now, he's donning the star on his helmet. At just 23 years old, Pickens already looks like a player who can take over games. His chemistry with quarterbacks in Pittsburgh was strong, but many believed he had untapped potential due to inconsistencies in quarterback play and a conservative offensive scheme. Now in Dallas, paired with Dak Prescott, fans are salivating at the thought of what this duo can achieve. Imagine a lineup with CeeDee Lamb drawing attention from opposing secondaries while Pickens feasts on single coverage. Add in Tony Pollard's speed out of the backfield and Jake Ferguson working the middle of the field, and you have an offense that suddenly feels dynamic, unpredictable, and capable of lighting up scoreboards across the league. There's a real sense that this could be the missing piece that pushes Dallas from playoff contender to legitimate Super Bowl threat. Coaches and analysts are already poring over tape, imagining how offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer can scheme up ways to get Pickens into space and create mismatches all over the field. But while the football world was processing the magnitude of the trade and what it meant for the Cowboys' offensive ceiling, reports began to surface of turmoil brewing behind the scenes. And that's where the story takes a darker turn. Shortly after the Pickens trade was made public, several credible sources began reporting that Micah Parsons, the heart and soul of the Cowboys' defense, had a fiery outburst inside the locker room. This wasn't a quiet disagreement or a passive complaint. According to insiders close to the team, Parsons was absolutely livid. He reportedly stormed into a closed-door meeting that included team owner Jerry Jones, executive vice president Stephen Jones, and head coach Mike McCarthy, demanding answers and expressing his discontent in no uncertain terms. Eyewitnesses say the scene was tense, emotional, and bordering on chaotic. Parsons, who has never shied away from speaking his mind, reportedly felt completely blindsided by the Pickens deal. His primary grievance? A perceived imbalance in how the team is allocating its resources. In his view, the Cowboys have continually invested in the offensive side of the ball, new weapons, shiny playmakers, high draft picks, while leaving the defense vulnerable, especially in the wake of multiple injuries to key members of the front seven. Sources say Parsons felt the team had failed to live up to promises made earlier in the offseason to fortify the defense and support him in his efforts to maintain elite-level play. What made matters worse, according to one source, was that Parsons wasn't even informed about the trade until after it had already gone public. That, he reportedly said, was the final straw. Witnesses say Parsons raised his voice, calling out what he described as a lack of respect and a broken culture that doesn't prioritize communication with star players. At one point, he is believed to have shouted, "If y'all don't care about defense, then send me somewhere that does." That line, now circulating all over social media, has fueled speculation that a formal trade request could be coming soon. While nothing has been filed with the league just yet, multiple sources insist that Parsons made his intentions clear. Either the Cowboys start making serious investments on the defensive side of the ball, or he wants out. It's a shocking development for a player who has quickly become not just a fan favorite, but a legitimate cornerstone of the franchise. The Cowboys front office, understandably, has gone into full damage control mode. Coach McCarthy canceled a previously scheduled media availability, choosing instead to address internal concerns. Jerry Jones, who rarely backs down from the spotlight, held a closed-door meeting with Parsons that lasted over 2 hours. No details have emerged yet about what was said during that tense conversation, but insiders say it was a critical moment, either a step toward mending fences or a final attempt to salvage a relationship that may already be too far gone. Some within the organization believe Jones offered reassurances that defensive reinforcements were on the way, including possible signings and trade targets who could help fortify the front seven. Others suspect the meeting may have been more about calming Parsons down and avoiding further public fallout than actually addressing the core issues. Meanwhile, the fanbase is deeply divided. Social media has turned into a war zone of opinions, with hashtags like Stand with Micah and Trust the Star trending simultaneously. Some fans are thrilled by the Pickens trade, seeing it as a bold, win-now move that signals the Cowboys are all in on chasing a championship. Others believe the front office is making the same mistake that has plagued Dallas for years, overvaluing flash and neglecting the foundational pieces that actually win playoff games. For these fans, Parsons represents more than just a star player. He's a symbol of grit, heart, and defensive dominance. Losing him, even the threat of losing him, feels like a betrayal of everything this team has been trying to build. Analysts and former players are also chiming in, and their reactions have only added fuel to the fire. Shannon Sharpe, never one to pull punches, described the situation as a powder keg waiting to blow. On his podcast, he warned the Cowboys that alienating a player like Parsons could be catastrophic. Micah Parsons isn't just a player, Sharpe said. He's the soul of that defense. You lose him, you lose your edge. Period. Hall of Famer Michael Irvin, a lifelong Cowboy, expressed shock and concern, urging both sides to find common ground quickly. This isn't just about one trade, Irvin said. This is about the direction of the franchise, and whether or not we're unified in chasing greatness. Behind the scenes, there's growing belief that Parsons' frustrations have been simmering for some time. This isn't just about George Pickens. This is about a pattern, real or perceived, of the front office making decisions without input from key players, adjusting defensive schemes without consulting their stars, and sending mixed signals about the team's long-term vision. Some insiders suggest Parsons may also be using this moment to force the team's hand regarding a contract extension or guaranteed money down the line. Either way, his outburst has completely shifted the narrative in Dallas. What should have been a moment of celebration, a marquee addition that makes the offense scary, has now become a full-blown organizational crisis. The Cowboys are now walking a tightrope. On one side, they've just pulled off a blockbuster trade that could reshape the NFC playoff picture. On the other, they risk losing the heartbeat of their defense, a once-in-a-generation talent who demands excellence and accountability. The next few weeks will be crucial. Training camp is fast approaching, and the team can't afford to go into the season with lingering tension or unanswered questions. Sources say the front office is exploring all options, including potential trades for defensive help. One name that's been floated repeatedly is veteran defensive tackle Calais Campbell, who remains a free agent and could bring both leadership and production to a battered front seven. Another possibility could be a trade for an experienced linebacker or edge rusher, possibly involving mid-round picks or future draft capital. The message from the Cowboys brass is becoming increasingly clear: they do not want to lose Parsons. He is too valuable, too beloved, and too impactful to simply move without exhausting every possible alternative. At the same time, they are standing firm on the Pickens deal. The belief inside the building is that this was the kind of bold, transformative move that championship teams make. The challenge now is to prove that it wasn't a gamble that fractured the locker room beyond repair. How the Cowboys navigate the next steps could define their season and perhaps even the next decade of Dallas football. Will they make peace with Parsons and emerge stronger, more unified, and ready to chase a title? Or will this moment mark the beginning of a new era, one where the star players begin to walk away? No matter what happens next, one thing is for certain: this offseason just became one of the most dramatic and consequential in Cowboys history. And we'll be right here with you, every step of the way, breaking it all down. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit that like button if you're as fired up about this news as we are, and drop a comment below letting us know: do you support the Pickens trade? Or are you riding with Micah Parsons? This is going to be one wild ride, and Cowboys Nation, we're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.